Becoming does not begin with ambition. It begins with a decision, often unspoken, to endure now so that later can be different. There is always a moment when this decision is made, not dramatically, not proudly, quietly. You realize that comfort is expensive, that ease demands time, that safety requires dependence, and dependence, sooner or later, demands payment. So you begin to sacrifice. At first, small things. You sacrifice rest. You sacrifice reassurance. You sacrifice the luxury of being unprepared. Others do not notice. They see discipline. They see focus. They see restraint. They do not see what is being removed. You learn to stay awake while others sleep, to watch while others assume, to prepare while others hope. Hope is pleasant. Preparation is effective. You tell yourself this is temporary, that the sacrifices are strategic, that ease will come later, that comfort can be reclaimed once you are secure. This is the first lie that feels reasonable. Because sacrifice works. Each thing you give up buys you distance. Distance from uncertainty. Distance from disappointment. Distance from being at the mercy of other people's decisions. Distance feels like progress. You begin to value outcomes more than experiences, results more than moments. You tell yourself this is maturity, and perhaps it is. But maturity always costs something, and you have only begun to pay. As time passes, sacrifice becomes habit. You no longer ask what something costs. You ask what it produces. Relationships are measured. Opportunities are weighed. Emotions are evaluated for usefulness. Attachment becomes inefficient, so you limit it. You tell yourself this is focus, that distractions are dangerous, that indulgence weakens resolve, that softness delays arrival. And you are not here to arrive slowly. You sacrifice spontaneity. You sacrifice ease. You sacrifice the right to be careless. Others call this discipline. They admire your control. They trust your steadiness. They do not see the constant calculation that replaces instinct. Success begins to appear, not loudly, quietly. Doors open, influence expands, your presence changes rooms. And with every gain, the bargain seems justified. You tell yourself this is proof that the sacrifices were correct, that loss was necessary, that suffering had purpose. But something subtle disappears. You stop laughing easily. You stop relaxing fully. You stop arriving anywhere without already planning your exit. Nothing feels unsafe. Nothing feels free. You begin to notice that the future you prepared for keeps moving forward, always just ahead, always requiring one more sacrifice. And still, you continue. Because turning back would mean admitting that something irreplaceable was traded away too early. So you press on, because pressing on is what sacrifice has trained you to do. Eventually, success arrives, or something that resembles it. Stability, control, independence. You have what you worked for. And now, for the first time, there is no immediate threat, no urgent goal, no necessary loss. Only stillness. This is when the cost reveals itself. You realize that sacrifice does not end when success begins. It has simply become part of who you are. You no longer know how to stop withholding. You no longer know how to enjoy without measuring. You no longer know how to receive without suspicion. You won, and you are empty. This is the final truth few are willing to admit. Sacrifice guarantees nothing except transformation. You will become whatever your sacrifices require you to be. If you sacrifice joy, you will become controlled. If you sacrifice connection, you will become independent. If you sacrifice rest, you will become relentless. And if you sacrifice yourself long enough, you may succeed, but you may not recognize the person who arrives. This is the cost of becoming. Not the pain endured, but the version of yourself you leave behind to ensure the future you believe you deserve. The question is not whether sacrifice works. The question is whether you will know when the cost has become too high. You live on promises made to the future. Not promises spoken aloud, but agreements you make with yourself. Endure now, soften later. Every sacrifice feels justified because it is framed as temporary. You do not grieve what you give up. You postpone the grief. You tell yourself there will be time to feel it once you arrive. Arrival becomes a moving point, always just ahead, always requiring one more sacrifice first.